Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to York City, where one game played since we last met. Stockport, away, 2-0, all sorted within 20 minutes. Thanks to Alex Kempster doing 2 Alex Kempster goals. One of them, phenomenal cross, by the way. It was more towards the halfway line where the cross started, but it still ended up with an Alex Kempster volley on the other side of the box. So, kind of usual. First one was kind of very bizarre. He didn't even look like it hit him and it went in. But apparently it was a half volley, according to the words. But of course today is all about rivalries, as we have a local derby at home at York Community Stadium, or the LNER Stadium as it is now will be known. But as the game was coded before the naming rights were sold, the York Community Stadium will host Harrogate today, and then we also have to host Ebbsfleet as well in a few days' time. Of course, Ebbsfleet, the team that we beat to win the FA Trophy a few episodes ago. So rivalries abound today. And speaking of rivalries, I do need to speak about one player very quickly. And that player is Juanito Lopez. Because if you watched my transfer episode, I think it was, I can't remember which episode it was, but in one of the episodes it was highlighted that Hull was sniffing around Juanito Lopez. Now, in my research before this series, I discovered that for the fans and the club, for York City, they regard Hull as their main rival, or used to regard Hull as their main rival at the very least, but obviously back when they were a league side. Since then, their fortunes, I think, have drifted in opposite directions in terms of club trajectories, but Hull were regarded as, by the fans, by the club, as York's main rivals, and when considering Hull was sniffing around our star player in Juanito Lopez, he got a new contract, basically. He's now earning the most money of anyone in the club, but he no longer has a release fee, which is the most important thing. I did force them to go. Hull came in with a frankly pitiful offer. I did say, you can have it for the release fee. They backed off, and I gave him a new contract. So hopefully that will stop anyone else coming in for him. As you can see here, that's now his stat page, by the way. That's 13 finishing, 14 composure, 13 on a few of the physicals as well. Ain't too shabby, really, is it? And with room to grow still, apparently. Maybe well worth avoiding that release fee in future. So fingers crossed. One thing as well, obviously 3 games have been played. I just wanted to say, just one thing that I kind of noticed after playing the Stockport matches, and it's amusing to me at the very least, hopefully it's amusing to you as well, is Havant and Waterlooville, who were promoted from the Vanarama South, are up at the top of the table right now, in the sort of obviously the same vicinity as us and Morecambe, who also won as well. But I do find it amusing that us and Havant and Waterville, obviously promoted from the South, are at the top, whereas the other 2 teams that got promoted from the North and South are both in the relegation spots right now. So one of each at the top, one of each at the bottom. It's just aesthetically pleasing. The other news is Ethan Walker has finally arrived in on loan from Preston. And look at the comparison list. Just look at that, please. Alex Kempster 3 stars in that position. Ethan Walker 4.5. So that says everything without even having to look at the stats page of things. He is lacking in quite a few like sort of the mentals and some of the technicals, but the technicals that don't matter. And we can hopefully get away with 3 concentration and 4 positioning, considering his pace will hopefully make up for that. And of course, these technicals very top should very much deal with that as well. It is also worth mentioning, obviously, the injury to Danny Williams has forced me to go back out into the market, look for a more permanent defensive midfielder, maybe for us as well. I found one. Well, I found 2 actually. There's 2 that I wanted. There's one I wanted to bring in from the league below, actually. Sort of a player who looks like he might have a bit of potential. Probably definitely has a bit of potential because I was priced out of it quite significantly. They wanted like £325,000 for him. And considering our budget right now is £90,000, not going to happen. However, I have found a replacement. He is needing a work permit though, but I will get it because I found out in this year's game, something that kind of went under the radar is it actually does tell you what you need in order to get a work permit when you're in the sort of the contract stage of the thing. Last year, I got burned by that once whilst playing for Burnley. I didn't offer them enough money per week for them to get the work permit, and then I had to wait for one. So that did get me last year. So that's a nice little quality of life improvement from this year's game, which I've not really seen mentioned at any point. So once that work permit has been appealed and won, as it should do according to what I was instructed, we'll have a new defensive midfielder. But for now, Thor is in that role. In goal, Smith. Backline is the same as you've seen it so far as well. Nacelle, Green, Walker now on the left, Bennett on the right, Lopez at front. Feels a bit harsh to drop Kempster, but I'm going to. My issue, of course, is obviously not really match fit at all, but there's no really way of getting him match fitness other than playing him right now because there's no sort of way of sticking him in the under squads for that because he's arrived very recently. Oh, they've got a very standard 4-4-2. Hang on a second. I'm fairly certain I scouted this person at one point. Yeah, did scout him. Was technically an upgrade on the players we had, but we got Bennett and the other one, so we didn't really need another right-sided player, so that's why I didn't get him in, I guess. We're at home, so I'll just say keep the run going. That's done the job. That's done the job wonderfully. And Lopez enjoyed the assertive faith. As, well, the one thing I will say about that previous game against Stockport is that there were more highlights in it than the ones that I showed you yesterday. And there's a highlight after 50 seconds here, as Lopez has been put clean through by whoever that was with the through ball. Ended up being a tight angle, of course, and missed. We're the only ones playing right now. At the very least, Havant and Waterlooville aren't. Another highlight, by the way, 50 seconds later, as Bennett gathers the ball, runs past... No, he doesn't run past number 3, he just gives it to them. Because, you know, red shirts, maybe? I mean, red and blue, I presume, are in right now. Lopez. And, well, carbon copy of the first shot, just on the opposite side, really. Yeah, because you basically have 3 kits that are combinations of red, blue, and white, just in different variations. So I think this is red and blue, I guess, this one. Yeah, we seem to be the only ones playing. I don't know why that is. Maybe we're the early kickoff. Because we're on telly, of course. I'm going to go positive and demand more as we reach the half-an-hour mark with no further highlights. We are controlling the game according to the statistics, but I would like to see a goal at some point. As 42 minutes this will be. Oh, well, Lopez, there's the goal. Left in all sorts of space in the middle of that 6-yard box by the 2D side of things. I'll see this in 3D to see just how he managed to do that quite so easily. Green whips it in, and it's not even like a header, it's a volley. It wasn't a particularly high cross. And somehow, Lopez finds himself the space in the 6-yard box to just really tap volley that in. As we limit them to 2 shots, 1 on target. So we say, play so well, room for injury, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why I find it so hard to say that sentence. You played well, there's room for improvement. Why is that such a hard sentence for me to say? I fluffed it last time round. And they have been overwhelmed by some feedback there, which is always good news for us. Counter that by demanding more from our team and focusing them in on the game. As we get to the hour mark, before we get another highlight here, not entirely sure what's going on. Oh, it's a free kick. That's what's happening. Well, it smashes into the wall, and Walker makes it wide with his shot. Not doing particularly well on shots on target with this formation. Do I have work ball into the box on? That might be an issue. Long shots wise, we've had 6 long shots out of 14. It's not an amazing ratio. Work the ball into the box, please, as Lopez runs into the box and, well, not the best shot. But at least it's on target. We do seem to be having less yellow cards in general this year so far as well, which is always nice to see. Smith punts it up to Emmett. Romano gets his head under it though instead, and we get to counter. Not really numbers-wise, but got the player in the right place, and, oh, the goalie's done quite well again. He's had 6 saves so far, as I need to remember to make substitutions. Ethan Walker obviously just trying to get some fitness in. Just realised I technically should have put Kempster on the bench rather than that, but Bennett can do the other side. Connor Stanley can come in on the right-hand side. Does have to go inverted on that left, though. Clark also does seem to get very tired, I've noticed. So Dyer comes on at right back. I'll leave that as the changes for now, I think. Might do one in the very dying minutes. Speaking of, and we're there already, basically. Simple swap. McLaughlin for Nacelle. Just doing fractionally worse than Green was, basically. I say fractionally worse, he's on an 8.1. Got the assist, as this game just runs out as a 1-0. Statistically, dominant. Scoreline, narrow. If we could maybe avoid doing that again, although I will say 4 games played, Ted Smith hasn't conceded yet. I'm going to say you were poor out there, and, well, they're fired up by that, which I kind of like. We're officially not conceded yet, as I get a Park the Bus achievement, I think, from not conceding in a few games. Well, Ebbsfleet join us in a few days' time, so I'll rest the lads, and we will play that one as well. 2 pieces of news in the interim. It's only been 3 days, remarkably. The first one of which was, yes, we did play early, and Havant and Waterlooville beat Morecambe, which is possibly a huge result, because if Havant continue the way they've started, then the fact that they beat the most likely team to win the league could be a very interesting result come the end of the season. Secondly, the player was trying to get a work permit. I was told that would win the appeal. Didn't win the appeal, so he's not coming anymore. So back to the drawing board on that defensive midfielder role. I think I might wait until the 31st after the normal transfer window shut. Might make some of those players who weren't that interested be a little bit more interested out of desperation. So that's my plan going forward now. Basically just rely on desperation to get maybe a DM in that wasn't that interested before. It's going to have to do it, isn't it? I will actually bring Kempster in on the bench this time rather than Stanley. Everyone else is fine to play, basically. So the same team as last time out. No changes there. I've only had a work ball into the box, basically, is the only thing, because we did have a fair few long shots on that previous one, so I'm not too pleased with that, as they've gone for a 4-4-2 as well. Decent team talk so far. It'll do, hopefully. Somehow Ethan Walker started on a 6.6. That seems a little bit unfair. I don't know why he started on a lower rate than everyone else. By the way, Morecambe have loaned a player from our parent club, Barnsley, which seems incredibly rude of our parent club. As Lopez is through again, can he go around the goal? He has gone around the goalie. He's offside, though. We didn't even get to see the offside lines. I suspect he was. I just got excited in the moment. He did look like he was quite far ahead of the line, but I just figured that was his pace that got him there rather than just being offside in the first bit. Green's on the opposite side, and well, Green scored twice this season already, and well, it's safe to say his average rating is far higher than it was last year. Of course, something I did forget to say beforehand is before these two matches, Harrogate and Ebbsfleet were 5th and 6th in the league table. So these are also two teams that were higher up after those first 3 games. Not just rival games, but, you know, decent teams. However, they're now 10th and 11th after we've beaten the pair of them, so they'll probably be able to pick themselves back up again and probably will be in that challenging pack, I would imagine, come the end of the season. Clark now on the far side, though, whips this one in. Oh, lovely ball across the box. As Walker can't turn it in. I feel like Kempster would have finished it. Is that Harry Neville at Ebbsfleet? Or whatever his first name is. Oh, no. Boys had slid in there. I've got an awful feeling that, oh no, card-wise, got away with it. I was awful feeling that was going to be able to be a red card there. But half an hour gone, there's been 3 shots in the entire game. It's not the most. And Smith's finally beaten by a penalty. But took a penalty to beat him. Alfie Egan, I recognise that name. Probably because he played against us in the trophy, you fool. He went the right way as well, did Smith. Just an excellent penalty. Not a lot you could do about that. I am actually going to go positive. So drawing this game is not great for us because obviously we need to try and keep pace with Havant and Waterlooville at this early stage. Of course, only 5 games in, though. Not exactly the worst thing to be a few points behind. But Boom does get that ball there. And boys, hoofs it to Lopez. Wonderful ball through. If he can get through this defence, he doesn't get through the defence and he kicks it wide. But, you know, each their own. Let's demand a little more before this half ends, shall we? Whilst we've had the ball quite a lot, we've not really done a lot with it. As dying embers of this first half, Thor whips this ball into the box and there's a penalty awarded. Okay. Bennett was pushed by Weston. And it is... Who's that penalty taker now? We've got all these new players. Isn't it Sell on the ball? Yeah, it is. That one's saved, of course, because they've not fixed penalties. Anyway, resulting corner might come to something. Who knows? It doesn't. You do have more players in the box by the fact I've not done anything about that. Should do something about that, really. This is going to go backwards and the end, and half's going to end. So we say, not pleased. And of course, Callum Nacell's taken the penalty hit. I hope he's going to be all right, because obviously Nacell is one of our better players, so we can't really afford him to not be playing well. I feel bad taking him off, but I might have to just because of that reason more than anything. Thor, backwards to Boom, out to Green. Oh yeah, by the way, I've just casually accepted the fact I've renamed him Thor without really mentioning it. I know I did say something last time round, but secretly kind of hoping that our reputation is good enough to get a retiring Hulk when the time comes. Just because reasons. Anyway, the ball's been hoofed up. Nacell has got himself out of the red, I noticed on the ratings-wise, just before that tipped off onto this highlight as, oh no, well that is whipped at Smith with ferocious speed. Blimey, that was a shot. Still second though. The rest of the chasing pack in that playoff spots aren't really doing the greatest of jobs right now. As I am going to have to get players off, I think. I think I am going to have to take Sell off at this stage. Boys is booked and gave the penalty away, so he's not having a good game either. Let's get Ferguson on for him. And actually, neither of the wingers are doing particularly well. But I put Kempster on the bench, so I kind of have to do all 3 changes and maybe go full attacking with a bit more demand. Shout didn't really do much, did it? Push forward, please. Oh, they're frustrated by the fact I've told them to push forward. Nothing has happened in this second half. Nothing. Well, it's a draw. 1-1. Missed a penalty. Should have won that. I mean, literally should have won that. We had a penalty they didn't miss. So, still, only 2 points behind the leaders because they appear to have done a draw as well against Wrexham. So we're keeping pace at the very least. Looks like Morecambe got the better of Leamington in the end. They did, yes. We'll see how much that is going to cause issues towards the end. A lot of draws, a lot of narrow wins. Not a couple of 4-2s in there just to provide a little bit of excitement. But, yeah, a lot of narrow wins elsewhere. Quite a tight day for the... Oh, poor Stockport. Yeah, when you look at it like that, it's not the best of games, is it? Anyway, Well, there's another local-ish derby not too far away, but would like to put a bit more of a gap in this time round. The return of Solihull Moors, of course, the team that we beat to progress in the FA Cup last year. Yeovil not too far behind them as the battle of the Y teams. Solihull Moors on one either side. I'm not sure which side I'll go, because neither Yeovil or Dagenham and Redbridge are doing particularly well right now, because two teams formerly of the Football League. But actually, yeah, looking at the end of the season, Halifax and Dagenham and Redbridge do sort of line up next to each other, although Chesterfield might be a big game as well. So I think it's more likely to be Solihull Moors and Yeovil. I'll see you then. Until then, ta-ra.